All right, welcome back to another video where I prepare for my new job on the 25th. I am trying to hook up to a Nexus device that is offered for free from developer.cisco.com, but I'm going to need to do a lot of troubleshooting to try to figure out how to connect to it. But I figured it'd be a good video to kind of show how I go about that. So one thing you can do to test whether or not you can reach a device, because in a lot of data centers, they will disable ping traffic because it's more secure. So you can see here, if I try to ping this device, which is what we're trying to connect up to, it resolves via DNS, but the pings just time out. So that's very likely due to the security settings they have in their data center where they're just not allowing me to ping in. So another thing we can try is pinging a particular port. So, actually, never mind. So this is one of the things with ping that is interesting. So ping is its own protocol. Ping does not have ports. You can't specify a port when you ping, and this is the whole point of what I was. Yeah, so this is just ping a Hyper-V network virtualization provider address. That's interesting. Let's try that. Yeah. So if you want to see if a particular port is open, you can't use ping. But what you can use is telnet. So telnet, you're basically just saying, try to establish a three-way handshake onto this port here. You're not saying to set up a telnet session necessarily. You're just saying do the three-way handshake. If they've got telnet running, great. Let me in. Let me do it. If they don't have telnet running, then yeah, there's nothing I can do. Sorry. So you can see connecting. Now we got this blank screen. That means that they were up and ready to go. So this is connectable. This port appears to be open. Let's try it with a different port, like port 80. Yep. So if I try a different port 80, port that's not open, it'll just keep trying to connect, but it'll just never get anywhere, and then eventually it will time out. But you'll notice when we did it to the port that they assigned to us for this, port 2023, could not open connection to host, connect failed, 2023, or 20203. We don't get that message. In fact, it doesn't fail. It goes in, it does that three-way handshake. It's all good to go, but telnet isn't even enabled, so it won't time out. It won't fail to connect. It will just disconnect if I hit enter, or it'll just disconnect after a while because there's nothing for it to do after it does that. So it'll just send the four-way disconnect. One thing we can do is netstat -nao, and then we can do pipe. We can't do pipe grep. Is there a pipe in here? No, we don't have grep. So yeah, I'm not sure how to do it on Windows, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, one thing you can do is you can watch it, do that, and you'll see that it will go into establishing. So maybe I can find it, and it will show that it has in the foreign address because it's doing the DNS resolutions. You can see right here it's failing to resolve those addresses, so it's kind of going pretty slow now because it's attempting to resolve those addresses, but it's failing on each of them. but I'm hoping that it will show that connecting to the lab environment on that port does result in an established state. But it'll take a while for these other bogus ones that, well, I'm not sure that they're bogus, but the ones that are failing DNS resolution, it'll take a while for them to time out. But looks like we're still connected to the dev environment, so hopefully things are going through good. You can see I did the reboot in between videos, so I do have the VPN that they recommend to use. Unfortunately, I had tried it and was unable to connect. I'm really not sure what the issue is, but that's why I have this video open, so I can troubleshoot and resolve that issue. So let's try maybe HTTPS or something. If that doesn't work, we'll try HTTP. And if that doesn't work, we'll just try to read some more about what it is. So we definitely have internet connectivity. That's not going to be the issue. All right, so let's keep troubleshooting this issue. I think the best way to go right now, I've got the email pulled up on my phone here, but let's go into the sandbox and see if there's more to read there than just what I've got on my phone here. And I reserved it for 8 hours, so it should still be ready. Let's see if I can find my reservation. Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything for the lab. So it was under data center and it was NX. Yep, so it was this one, Open NXOS, Nexus 9V. Yep, so this is it. Now, I thought I already had a reservation, so did I close it somehow? I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, yeah, so I've already got one open. I just don't know how to access it again. So maybe it wasn't this one. There it was. Yeah, reservations. Sweet, okay. All right, VPN access. So stuff you can do prior to reservation. I've already done that. When your lab reservation begins, you will receive several emails. First email, lab provisioning. Lab is not ready yet. Second, fully provisioned, tested and ready. You'll find the information required by any connect. Lab IP address, VPN username, VPN password. So I got all that. I didn't get an IP address. I got a FQDN with a port. But the problem is that it's saying that the FQDN isn't valid. So if I enter exactly what I got in my email, which is DEVNET, SANDBOX, SANDBOX. Yep. And then dash EMEA, perfect. Dash GWY.Cisco.com, :2023. I enter that exactly as I received it in the email. It does not allow me to connect. So I'm not sure why, but that's what this is about. So let's maybe look at the help menu here. Aha, so I think this might be it. So we're going to go to settings, which is right here on the graphic, but you can see mine's obviously quite a bit different. So, and it looks like it's running off the page, so there's no way for me to see the extra bits down there. Maybe if I collapse this, I can see a little bit extra. But yeah, there's no possible way for me to see the absolute bottom of this unless I find a way to remove all these. So I'm not sure what to do because I need to see that in order to get those settings. Looks like I can resize it, but I can't. Oh, okay, here we go. So I can shrink it. No, all I can do is left, right. So yeah, this mobility client is just so yeah, it's too tall because you can see I can't see the bottom of it. It's just running off the screen. And I need to select an option on here to allow an untrusted server, but that would require toggling the settings, which is in the bottom. So maybe I can uninstall some of these: system scan, web security, roaming security. So I'll go into my programs, add or remove programs, and maybe there's like a web scan. Here we go. Yeah, the web security module. So maybe I can uninstall that and that will shrink that tower down. Yeah, I gotta close it before I do that. All right. So yeah, I'm not gonna need that. I'm really just using this for basic purposes. So, yep, and then the AMP enabler mode, I don't know what that is. Hopefully that will help shrink that tower down. So I can get to the settings. An ISE posture module, I'm not sure what that is. I think my posture is okay. So I will uninstall that. the risk of having bad posture. All right, so now hopefully the tower is more shrinked. Another thing I can do is see if I have the option to allow untrusted servers here. And I don't. All right, but let's see if that tower has shrunk down enough to fit on the page. It does, perfect. So yep, now we got our settings down here. All right. So let's see here. Let's put in our preferences. And now let's not block the whole reason that we installed this thing. Let's make it so that the reason we installed it is possible to occur. I don't know where this port came from. This not the port I entered in there at any time. I don't know why it randomly changed to a different port, but I will go back and enter the port that it is meant to be. And hopefully just unchecking that box is all that was needed for it to now work. Although it's not looking very promising right now. Nope. All right. So now did that port? No, it didn't. Okay. All right, let's look at this closer. So here they want to do the IP address. Let's try the IP address. And here's what I wanted to show before that it did go into established when I had that telnet. In fact, that might be why it's not working because I still have that open. Okay, so it's closed. If I do another one of those, it would take forever with the resolve. But let's try it just again now that that is closed. Okay, but that didn't work. So yeah, let's grab the IP and then we'll try to connect using the IP. So just wait for this to time out because it's not going to work. Would have worked. All right, and now I'll try using the IP. So, nope, that's not it. Maybe I'll try using the lab IP. That's not the lab IP that was in the email. It's the one I used is the one that was in the email. It's what in the email I did not receive an IP. I just received a FQDN, but the FQDN resolved to this IP. So yeah, this is kind of the caveat. They always say, "Oh, you know, it's free. It's this wonderful deal. How advantage of it? You must be crazy." It's like, well, I'm crazy, but it's because I stayed up all night trying to take advantage of this thing, and it turned out that it's just not working. But can we SSH to it? Do they need to be booted up or something? No commands were found. VM Maestro, Viral Server, instructions. So I know you've got to open up a VPN connection. That is very clear. Oh, is it because I didn't select the right viral simulation? I'm not sure. Topology diagrams. Connect with VPN information. So I tried doing that, but the information they sent me doesn't work. Yes, I have it. I'm having issues. So I'm going to click the Get Help here on the Now this was working for me before. I have used this before. I don't know why it's just suddenly not working now. Here we go. So I'm looking at on my phone the help menu. Yeah. So here's somebody with the same issue I got. Oh, okay. So they're just saying that, oh, it's down. So I think I'm going to try to cancel this reservation, make a new one, and then see if I get a different email for a different device. So, yep, I'm going to end my reservation unless there's a way to switch the device it's for. I don't think so. Yep, I'm going to end the reservation. Perfect. So now let me see if there's a better one that I can use. So I'm going to go to Kindle Cloud Reader. I'm going to go back to the book I was looking at, which is right here. And they want the NX API sandbox, developer sandbox. So NX API, anything like that? Here we go. This is probably going to be fine. But let's see if we can do the NX API. We can probably use a different device. Here we go. Yeah, this is probably, here we go. So this is an always on box. You don't even have to reserve it. And I'm sure it will have all the same features. So all we got to do is hit reserve to activate, but we don't need an actual reservation. It looks like that button that is usually here that says reserved is not here. So, oh, okay. So Oh, okay, so we don't even need we can just straight up log into this one. But we're gonna have to, let's see here, CMD, SSH. I've never seen my computer behave that way before, where I right click and it changes windows. So let's see here. Let's do an admin at. Okay, so the SSH port is going to be A1A1. Oops. Look at that. Could that be any cooler? So I've got access to a well, let's see what I got access to. So I'm going to go show version. So I've got access to a Cisco Nexus 9000. Anytime I want, 24 hours, 24/7, any time of the year, I can go onto a demo version of the Nexus operating system, use it for free anytime I want, no restrictions at all. If you see the labs are labeled as an always on lab, you get that always on sandbox. That's what that means. There's no restrictions on when you can use it. Really, really good deal. I mean, they're trying to sell you this stuff, as I kind of ranted in a past video about artificial scarcity. Like, yeah, they want people to use this because they want people to buy it, but it's definitely a good selling point, is allowing people to have the skills to get nice jobs. All right, so let's see here. Okay, we're finally good. So let's pull up GNS3 and then pull up that development server. And then we're going to be, oh wait, no, it's this one. Yep, and then we're going to be plugging in the IP and port for this always on box. And then we're going to see if our script that uses NC client works on that device. We'll need to put on the configuration that is required. So it's right here, feature. We'll need to make sure all that is enabled. Let's do that. So config T, feature, and oops, NX API, username Cisco, and then just copy this. Oh, right, and you can't copy paste from a Kindle book, because of course you can't. That would be really convenient and something that a lot of people would want to do. So let's not have that feature. Perfect, okay. So username Cisco, role network admin, username Cisco, phrase lifetime, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, warn time 14, grace time 3. Okay, and then we're going to turn on port 80, NX API, HTTP, port 80, and then NX API sandbox. Oops. Oops. What do they have besides sandbox? Well, that's all we got. Okay. So, yeah, everything looks good. Yeah, so let's try to get that script to work with it. Perfect. Pull up a terminal and activate my virtual environment. And now we're going to run that script. Before we run it though, we're gonna make sure all the IP addressing is correct because we're gonna use a special configuration. It's gonna be A181, and then it's going to be, and this is for SSH. So then here's the host name, but let's find the IP and use that instead. So we're going to go NS lookup. Okay, so there's the IP. So let's use that instead. Oops, hide that, please. Hide floating panel. Okay, and now I need to collapse this down. Oops. All right, that'll be good enough. So, yep, and now it's going to be 64.103.37.14. Perfect. And then, yeah, all of this will be the same except for the username and the password is going to be different. It's going to be, actually, it might be Cisco because we set extra ones. I'll just go with the tried and true. There we go. Oops. Perfect. So now I think we can try it. Aha, so I think we got it. Let's take a look at what the expected output is here. It's not given. So they don't give you back what output they expect you to receive in this. Oh, no, they do. They do right here. Perfect. So yeah, issue should already be fixed by underlying permeable behavior. And then here's what they expect. The output will show the XML and netcomp supported features by this version of NXOS. So yep, we got it back. Looks like we've got all the same features. Let me try to get this to behave here. It's going to be a tall order. What does this mean? Scale? Scale? All right. Can I shrink this? I can. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's what I want. All right. Perfect. So, yep, we've got everything that they've got. Using NC client and netconf over SSH is great because it gets us closer to the native implementation and syntax. We will use the same library later on in this book. For NX API, we can also use HTTPS and JSON RPC in the later screenshot of NX API developer sandbox. If you noticed in the request box, there is a box labeled Python. If you clicked on it, you will be able to get an automatically converted Python script based on the request library. The following script uses an external Python library named requests. Requests is a very popular self-proclaimed HTTP for the human library used by companies and agencies like Amazon, Google, and the NSA and others. You can find more information about it on the official site. The author is Kenneth Reitz, very interesting person. He is kind of famous for the request module, not only because it's used by a lot of people and it's really useful, but also because of the way it is written. It's a lot of the standards and the visual aesthetic of it are considered really stand out and kind of better than a lot of other kinds of Python libraries. All right, so let's see if we can get this special sandbox thing to show up. So not yet. It's going to be on port 80, so it's going to be http://. But that's what we're going into. So, perfect. Yeah. So we got it. Let me see here. So what did they want us to do in there? They didn't want us to do anything in there. Oh, right. So in the following example, I have selected JSON RPC API is a great way to play with new copy directly. Let's launch a web. I think I might have gotten ahead of myself a little bit. Nope. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I did all this. So I think this is where I left off. NX API Sandbox is a great way to play around with various commands, data formats, and even copy the Python script directly from the web page. In the last step, we turned it on for learning purposes. Again, the sandbox should be turned off in production. Let's launch a web browser right here with the Nexus devices management IP and take a look at the various message formats, requests, and responses based on the CLI commands that we are already familiar with. Oh, man. In the following example, I have selected JSON RPC and the CLI command type for the show version command. Click on post and you will see both the request and the response. So it's going to be JSON RPC and CLI. JSON RPC, that's selected by default. So let's click on post. How do we do that? So I don't see how to click on post because there's nothing here. Oh, there we go. Click. All right. The sandbox oh yeah. Let's do a show version like they have there. And then so we can see the request we would send. And then let's do a send. And now we'll see the response we get back, which will show that it's Nexus. Yep. Nexus 9000. Yep, 9030. Perfect. But what's really cool is you can just click the Python 3 tab and it will give you back just a straight up Python 3 script you could have used to do the same thing. So it'll, yeah, just using the request module. So I could even go ahead and I've got the request module on my actual physical machine here, not just in the virtual environment. So I can paste in the script and, oh, it's not? I thought I had it. Oh, no, I don't. Well, I could do the Python 2 version, I think. Oh, I thought I had it. I guess I don't. Oh, I swear I had it, but I guess I do not have it. That's okay. All right, but yeah, I mean, I could do that in here as well. Unfortunately, I can't use the clipboard on my physical machine in my virtual machine here, so it's just kind of a pain to move that over. What I can do is do that SFTP that I did again, so I can do SFTP to my computer here. So they would be 192.168.56.1. No, that's for VirtualBox. Sorry, it's going to be 192.168.1.6. Seems to not be working actually. Yeah, it should connect by now. So yeah, that's not going to work. Oh well, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So let's just keep going. The sandbox comes in handy if you are unsure about supportability of the message format or if you have questions about the data, the response data field keys for the value you want to retrieve in your code. In our first example, we are just going to connect to the Nexus device and print out the capabilities exchange when the connection was first made. All right, we did that already. I think I even read this part. Yeah, so I read all that already. Let's move on. And I got this back. So yeah, everything's good. Let's just keep going. For the show version example from the NX API sandbox, the following Python script is automatically generated for us. I am pasting in the output without any modification. Yeah, so let's actually try that. So it's going to be, we'll have to pull up that a browser in our VM so we can copy paste, but that won't be too difficult. So it's going to be 64.103.37.14. It's going to be admin min_4. Yeah, we can save it. That's fine. All right, so looks like it takes a while for it to pop up. It took a while last time. Let's just do that show version. Then we'll grab the Python 3 version of the script, and then we'll just dump it into a terminal, and we'll see just how nice that sandbox can be. And as I mentioned, this is just a public IP address anyone can go to at any time. It's always on. So if you've ever got a question about how to write out a Python script to send some data, you just pull this up. You type in whatever you wanted to send. So I want to send show version. You make sure your message format is selected. So this is awesome too, because you can say, oh, well, what if I want to send it in XML? How does the Python code look different then? And then you can say, what if I want to send a different kind of command type too? So really, really, really useful. Yeah, I remember going over this a while back, but I just haven't used this outside of a learning context. But yeah, this is like super useful. So let's copy this and now go back to the terminal and do a Python 3 and paste it in. So it looks like it's thinking. It'll return when it's done. Took a little while here when we ran it in the browser, so it might take a little while here as well. We might have to change the IP though, because it looks like the URL is not going to be the same as the URL we're using. Let's just keep reading. Yeah, so like see how it has your IP there. So we got to change our IP to be the IP of this sandbox here. In the Cisco NX API _2 script, you'll see that I have only modified the URL, username, and password of the preceding file. The output was parsed to include only the software version. Here is the output. The best part about using this method is that the same overall syntax structure works with both configuration commands as well as show commands. This is illustrated in the Cisco NX API _3.py file, which configures the device with a new hostname and with a command line. After command execution, you will see the device hostname being changed from NXOSV-1 to NXOSV-new. So yeah, let's give both of these a try. I'm not sure what the holdup is with this. I don't think it's, so it looks like it's not as easy as just pasting it into the terminal. There can be issues. Oh, here we go. Well, we finally got the issue. So yeah, this IP is just not valid. So let's change that IP up. Looks like we can hopefully make the edit right here. Nope, this is read only. So unless it's not read only, that'd be nice. No, it is read only. So yeah, let's copy it, and then we need a text editor. We just save it as a file. We'll just say vi example.py, and then set paste. I'm going to paste that in there. And now change this to a valid IP where there's actually a device, which will be this IP here. 64.103.168. .37.14. And we're going to need to do that again up here. .103.37.14. Perfect. All right, now hopefully we'll get better results. Oh, so still got a problem here. So on line 33, it looks like I got logged off of the other one too. I wonder if it's just because I was requests equals requests dot post. Let's see here. What does it say? Expecting value. So it's not a valid JSON payload. I think we just didn't. Let's see here. Line 898 in that JSON, but here line URL data equals JSON.dumped payload, headers equals my headers, switch password, line 33. Let's take a look at line 33. So there's line 33. So client cert auth was false. So it didn't change the URL. Huh. Oh, see, okay. So it starts with HTTP, and then if it has a problem with that, it will switch over to HTTPS. Let's do it the other way. So it's going to start with HTTPS, and if there's a problem, we'll switch over to HTTP. I'm just curious what that will do for it. Oh, so yeah, no, that's kind of what I thought. It's just completely failing now. Okay. I wonder if this INS is needed. So I'm expecting to get back the results from that show version command. But right now, it just seems like there's a lot of issues. I don't think it's worth troubleshooting. We'll just continue moving on. And we did get this to work in the browser. And then we did get it to, yeah, we just haven't gotten it to work here. Oh, I see. We forgot. I forgot to modify every part of the script. So I'm going to do that now. Yeah, so okay, so I've got to modify the user ID, which is going to be admin, modify the password. There. Path to client cert file, I don't have any of that. And then I think we might need the INS. But I think this should be enough. Yeah, I don't think we need all that like CA cert stuff. All right, let's give this a shot. Oops, failed to establish new connection. Connection error, connection refused. So yeah, it might be because I don't have, well, I mean, let's see here, because it's going to do if this is false, then it won't use any of that stuff. It'll just use the headers, the payload, the username and password. It will use all the other stuff if it goes over to the else statement. So I don't even technically need any of that. I think it's because it's going to INS. I don't think that's the right thing. Oops, so still connection refused. Max retries with URL. And it looks like the URL is just a /. All right. So connection refused. That's the good old classic message that our remote server actively refused the connection either because it has a ACL set up on it blocking our IP, or because it doesn't have a service set up that can accept our connection, so it refuses it for that reason. So there's not necessarily anything wrong with my script here. It might just be that that remote side can't. Oh well. So there is something wrong with my script, but it's not because of the. So everything I said was true, but it's just because I'm trying to access a part of the remote server that I'm not allowed to access. I'm trying to access it on port 80. I need to access it in port 80, 81, 81, 81. I'm just going to take this second line out because it's not, none of those extra things it's asking for are defined. So it's not going to be a valid failover. Okay, but it hasn't been getting there anyway. Yeah, I'm going to take these out too. So I'm just going to make this really simple. Try to figure out why this isn't working. wrong version number. So host port wrong version number for SSL. Wrong version number. Is this the version number? Is version 2 the right version number? Version 852, is that the right version number? Is this how I set the version number? Yeah, I guess that's not how I set the version number. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of the name of the game, unfortunately. Oh, it looks like the problem's on line 30. Oh, okay, yeah, it's when I'm down here. So my headers, it's probably something wrong with the headers. So is there a way I can modify the headers? Content type, application, JSON RPC, client cert auth equals false. I think what I can do here is go headers auth, and then I can go into edit mode and go verify equals false. All right, so that's obviously a different result. It's now just kind of hanging out. We're just trying to do a show version command back from it. So we should get not too much output. Oh, did I need to type in Python 3? No, you only need to type in Python if you're in the virtual environment. You don't need Python 3. It's an advantage of the virtual environment. So like it's still kind of hanging out. Let's just give it a chance to think and move on. So, yeah, so this is what we were trying before. So, well, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's just cut it and move on to the next thing. So, mastering. So, this is going to be chapter 3. So, and then it's going to be, let's see here, Cisco NAX _2. This is chapter 2. Oh, here it is. So in the script, you'll see that I have only modified the URL, username, and password of the preceding file. The output was parsed to include only the software version. Okay, so let's clean up this switch. I'm passing in the output with any modification. Okay. Okay, so he's saying that in this script here that we made, he only changed certain parameters from this script here. But we can see that's not entirely true. I mean, he was using a whole different library. But let's Um, yeah, let's just keep moving on. Yeah. The best part about using this method is that the same overall syntax structure works with both configuration commands as well as show commands, as illustrated in the Cisco NX API _3 file, which configures the device with a new host name with a command line. After command execution, you will see the device host name being changed from NXOSV-1 to NXOSV-new. For multi-line configuration, you can use the ID field to specify the order of operations. This is shown in the Cisco NX API _4.py. The following payload was listed for changing the description of the interface in the interface configuration mode. All right, we can verify the result of the previous configuration script by looking at the running configuration on the Nexus device. Okay, so obviously it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to run if I've only got this always on Nexus device. Looks like there's some issues there. So let's just move on and look at the Cisco Yang model. Oh my God, I do not want to learn about this. I mean, for one, I already learned about this in Cisco. I mean, the other thing is this is actually free. Like you don't have to buy this book to learn about this. It's free all over online. So I think this is going to be a second strike for this book. Yeah, I think this book has earned a second strike because basically all it's doing at this point is just taking resources like DevNet, Cisco DevNet, and Juniper documentation, and basically making them harder to follow and more difficult to use, and then not teaching you how to fish instead of how to swim, or instead of giving you a fish, they're just giving you examples, but not explaining how to use the help or to look up in Google and learn more. They're just giving you examples, and if your examples don't work, well, too bad for you. So, I mean, I'd like to learn about the Ansible stuff in here, but I have a feeling it would just be more of the same, where if I could just go to the Ansible website, it would teach me more than this book would ever teach me. So yeah, at this point, I'm going to have to give the book a second strike, just because a lot of the things I think I've been introduced to so far could be better explained through sources I didn't have to pay for one, because I bought this book. And for two, I mean, I would love to learn more about Ansible, but as I said, am I going to learn about Ansible, or are they just going to give me examples that don't work and tell me to pay for viral? Yeah, and Jinja 2's in here too, which I want to learn more about. Yeah, I would like to keep working through this. But oh, and they go over Scappy too. That's wonderful. I really like Scappy. Yeah, I think this is going to be worth continuing to work through. I think I am going to give it a second strike though, because it's just frustrating to me when a book doesn't offer you anything more than you can get on the help documentation. And especially when it doesn't tell you how to access the help documentation. And instead of just not offering you more than you get there, it it actually makes it more complicated than if you would just use the help documentation itself. So I definitely think this book gets a second strike, but I'm gonna keep going through. Oh, and it has a whole section on SNMP too, and Paya and SNMP. Okay, so this book is going to be pretty valuable. It's just, even though it's about mastering, which again is a reason for the, oh, it's hitting up MATLAB graphing. Yes. Okay, so this is going to be pretty useful, I think. Yeah, I think this book is actually going to be pretty good to have gone through. Oh, I actually made up my own. It didn't graph it, but I made my own network tracer using CDP instead of LLDP. And this book has a way you can do that. The way I came up with it was just basically just pulling back like a network inventory. But if you could have a whole like auto-generated Visio for your whole network, yeah, like this, that'd be really nice. And it looks like this book kind of shows you how you can do that. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep on going. It's been kind of a nightmare so far, but um, I guess the worst part for me has been that we're not learning any of this really cool stuff that's going to come up later. We're just learning about um, Cisco Nexus gear. Yeah, so Flask is going to be cool to learn about. A lot of this is going to be really cool to learn about. But unfortunately, we're not even. So this is 62% of the way through. I think we're not even 20% of the way through right now. Oops, that's not letting me skim through the book anymore. Okay, so I think the book is going to be worthwhile. It does have a second strike, but elastic load balancing, that's interesting too. All right, I'm done leafing through it. This is 75% of the way done. What is Elastic Stack? I don't know. Oh, Elasticsearch is what I wanted to know about. Ah, here we go. That's what Elasticsearch is. Yeah, this all looks like some pretty cool stuff. Oh, and then they go over Git as well. This looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. This is going to be kind of a nightmare to get all the way through. And I doubt I can go at the pace I've been going so far. So I've had some extra time to work on this that I'm not going to always have. So yeah, they teach you how to do. Yeah, this is a great. Um, this seems like a pretty good book if you make it all the way through. But for me, it has been kind of slow going. But yeah, this looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm convinced. I think it still does have a second strike, um, but it is, I think, worthwhile continuing on instead of just switching over to that next book because we will be later learning some really good content. And I'll take a quick look. So what I'll do is um, uh, I'll reset the bookmark here, and then we'll start by reading here the Cisco Yang model. So I'm gonna, yep, toggle that on, and then take this off and close. And now I'll take a look through the table of contents of that other book. Yeah, Python for DevOps. This book, I think, is a little better. But the reason I bought both of them is they looked like they had different content. Yeah, it looks like there was quite a bit different content in the two books. That's kind of why I chose different books. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to stay on the current book. It does have a second strike, but I think I'll be a lot more reluctant to give a third strike, knowing that means that I stop and do the other book instead. So, and then of course, all the time I've spent deciding whether or not I switch books, I could have spent time just working through this one. So let's continue some more. The Cisco Yang model. Earlier in this chapter, we looked at the possibility of expressing the network by using the data modeling language Yang. Let's look into it a little bit more with examples. First off, we should know that the Yang model only defines the type of schema sent over the netconf protocol without dictating what the data should be. Secondly, it is worth pointing out that netconf exists as a standalone protocol, as we saw in the NX API section. Yang, being relatively new, has a spotty supportability across vendors and product lines. For example, if we run a capability exchange script for a Cisco CSR 1000V running Ios X Ii, we can see the different Yang models supported. Okay, those are all Yang models, those URNs. Compare this to the output that we saw for NX OS. Clearly, Ios X Ii supports more Yang model features than NX OS. Industry-wide network data modeling, when supported, is clearly something that can be used across your devices, which is beneficial for network automation. However, given the uneven support of vendors and products, it is not yet mature enough to be used exclusively for production network, in my opinion. What is it? Industry-wide data model? Okay. Please take a look at the Cisco Yang_1 script for the Cisco APIC EM controller that shows how to parse out the netconf XML output with Yang filters as a starting point to see the existing tag overlay. You can check the latest support on Yang GitHub project page. So is he saying that everything we just learned is not mature enough to be used exclusively for the production network? Okay, thanks for showing it to us. It's not like we wanted to use it for anything. Definitely not the production network. I mean, I guess you could like use it for your lab network or something, but still, that's kind of upsetting. But this is why I've given it a second strike and not a third strike, because this is all the reason, because it's talking about scarce outside things that aren't ready to be used in your production environment that you can learn about without buying a book. And you're taking a huge risk when you learn about them too, because good luck getting hired in these concepts if you don't have 10 years of experience with them, even though they were developed a year ago. Number two, if nobody uses them, you have spent all this time studying for them, and you'll never be able to implement that time you spent studying. All right, so let's go to chapter 3. And we want, let's do a find dash name Cisco Yang. Oh, it's not there, so let's search up here. Find dash name Cisco Yang star. Ah, there we go. Oh, it was in chapter 3 under Cisco. Okay, so CD chapter 03 Cisco, and then we'll do a cat Cisco Yang 1.py. So, okay, maybe it works. Oh, it did work. Cool. So this device, whatever it is a live, always on sandbox device. That's really neat. So cool. Yeah, I'm glad that worked. Yeah, we got back the IP address and everything. Cool. All right. So the Cisco ACI and APIC-EM The Cisco ACI is meant to provide a centralized approach to all of the network components. In the data center context, it means that the centralized controller is aware of and manages the spine, leaf, and top of rack switches, as well as all the network service functions. This can be done through GUI, CLI, or API. Some might argue that the ACI is Cisco's answer to broader controller-based software-defined networking. One of the somewhat confusing points for ACI is the difference between ACI and APIC-EM. In short, ACI focuses on data center operations, while APIC-EM focuses on enterprise modules. Both offer a centralized view and control of the network components, but each has its own focus and share of tool sets. For example, it is rare to see any major data center deploy a customer-facing wireless infrastructure, but a wireless network is a crucial part of enterprises today. Another example would be the different approaches to network security. While security is important in any network, in the data center environment, lots of security policies are pushed to the edge node on the server for scalability. In enterprise security, policies are somewhat shared between the network devices and servers. Unlike netconf RPC, ACI API follows the REST model to use the HTTP verbs get, post, and delete to specify the operation that's intended. We can look at the Cisco APIC-EM1 file, which is a modified version of the Cisco sample code on lab 2-1-get network device list.py. The code illustrates the general workflow to interact with ACI and APIC-EM controllers. The abbreviated version without comments and spaces are listed in the following section. The first function, named getTicket, uses HTTPS post on the controller with the path of /API/v1/ticket with a username and password embedded in the header. This function will return the parsed response for a ticket that is only valid for a limited time. All right, so let's take this. It's going to be this file here, Cisco APIC. Okay, so it's going to be in the Cisco folder, and let's cat it out. So we'll see that, or let's do a vi on it, and then look for that. Here it is. So get tickets. All right. Let's check the IP addressing on there. Maybe it's something we can get to. Oh, so it looks like there's a URL we've got to enter for the controller. I'm not sure what that URL would be. The second function then calls another path called /API/v1/network devices with the newly acquired ticket embedded in the header, then parses the results. This is a pretty common workflow for API interactions. The client will authenticate itself with the server in the first request and receive a time-based token. This token will be used in subsequent requests and will be served as proof of authentication. The output displays both the raw JSON response output as well as a parsed table. A partial output when executed against a DevNet lab controller is shown here. As you can see, we only query a single controller device, but we are able to get a high-level view of all the network devices that the controller is aware of. In our output, the Catalyst 2960-C switch, 3500 access points, and 4400 ISR router, and 5500 wireless controller can all be explored further. The downside is, of course, that the ACI controller only supports Cisco devices at this time. Cisco Ios X Ii, for the most part, Cisco Ios X Ii scripts are functionally similar to scripts we have written for NXOS. However, Ios X Ii does have additional features that can benefit Python network programmability, such as on-box Python and a guest shell. Similar to the ACI controller, Cisco Meraki is a centrally managed host that has visibility for multiple wired and wireless networks. Unlike the ACI controller, Meraki is cloud-based, so it is hosted outside of the on-premise location. Let us take a look at some of the Cisco Meraki features and examples in the next section. All right, let's try to run that script. It's not going to work because we don't have the URL in there, but let's, if anyone here is watching this and is not a Python pro, personally, I think it helps to look at this kind of stuff and kind of get used to looking at that and making sense of it. Because as I said in a previous video, this is basically telling you everything you need to know. So it's really, if you can get used to it, if you can learn to like it, and learn why it's kind of an awesome thing you can look at, that really helps. And yeah, you can see here. So line 20 in get ticket response equals, and then here's that URL that we didn't define. So not a valid URL. So this request.post is of course going to fail out. All right, so Cisco Meraki controller. Cisco Meraki is a cloud-based Wi-Fi centralized controller that simplifies IT management of devices. The approach is very similar to APIC with the exception that the controller is in a cloud-based public URL. The user typically receives the API key via the GUI. Then it can be used in a Python script to retrieve the organization ID. So let's just, yeah, let's type this out. Is this a valid URL? Oh, that would be neat if I can do that. Can I copy this and then take a note and then paste it in the note? I can't. Yeah, that sucks that you can't copy and paste from a Kindle book. All right, so yeah, let's just type this script out. So we'll just go over that. So it's Cisco Meraki _1. So Cisco Meraki _1.py. It's going to be, oops, we're going to do the shebang, as it's called. env Python 3 import requests, import bprints, my headers. URL. Response. All right, so let's execute that. Oops, and I'm not sure what they meant by this skip here. Oh, they're not going to give you their API key. So yeah, I'm not sure what this is all about. Maybe they give it to you in that here. So let's see here. Find dash name. Cisco Meraki 1.py. Okay, so it's right there. So CD chapter 03 Cisco, and now let's put it out. So, oops. Yeah, they don't give it to you here too. It's blank. So I guess you got to provide your own API key. Yeah. So this is so where was there the issue? Line 8 response. Yeah, I couldn't print out a response here because the response it got back wasn't able to be converted into JSON. Okay. So yeah, let's just keep moving. From there, the organization ID can be used to further retrieve information, such as the inventory, network information, and so on. So we can't do this because we don't have this skip. Let's just skip that, not even type it out. If you do not have a Meraki lab device, you can use the free DevNet lab located there. Oh, okay, cool. I thought as I have done for this section. Okay. We have seen examples of Cisco devices using NX API, ACI, and the Meraki controller. In the next section, let us look at some of the Python examples working with Juniper Networks devices. Yeah, see, this is why I've given the book a strike. Like, it's all right here. Like you don't need to buy an extra book. Like, they're giving you everything for using this platform that they're trying to sell you. So it would be like a McDonald's commercial, like some guy like taking a McDonald's commercial and making a commercial for the McDonald's commercial and then selling me that commercial. It's like, well, I can just turn on any TV, go to any billboard, and watch a McDonald's commercial. I don't need to buy your commercial for a McDonald's commercial. And not only that, your commercial doesn't even have hamburgers on it. It's just a paint, Microsoft Paint drawing you made of a hamburger that says delicious on it, and you printed it out, and you're charging me for that. It's like, if I wanted to see a commercial for something, I would watch the actual commercial, which is going to have a lot of funding and backing behind it, and not pay for a different version of the commercial that is, especially one that is not as good as the original. So that's why this book got a second strike. But hopefully we're going to be moving on to stuff that is more relevant. And I'm going to move my bookmark forward. A big reason why I wanted to do this too is because I bought these books on Kindle to kind of help me, as I said, prepare for my new job on the 25th. But personally, I'm not even sure if, because traditionally what I would do is buy hard copy books or have them printed out. And I thought that was a better way to work. So I wanted to kind of see if I could work through a technical training materials on Kindle, and if that would work for me, or if it would be just a giant frustration. And so far, I have to say, using Kindle to learn, the only frustration has been that you can't copy and paste directly from the book, but that hasn't been too big of a deal, and you can't copy and paste directly from a physical book. Not only that, you can't open links from a physical book, but you can here. So it's already got an advantage over the physical book. The disadvantages I was thinking it would have would be, it'd be harder to keep track of where you were in the book, where you left off in the book, but this bookmarking system really works. The other disadvantage, I thought it'd be harder to highlight and take notes, but you see my things I've highlighted show up there really nice and easy. And then of course another disadvantage I thought would be that it'd be hard to manage having the extra window open when you're trying to, as we see, we've got VNC up, we've got GNS3 up, we've got some CMD terminals up. Like, I just thought it would get too difficult to manage them all, but so far that hasn't been an issue. So I think this is definitely a good proof of concept for using Kindle to pick up, $10, $20 tech books and work through those and really further my skill set and become a better network engineer, or just all around guy who works in tech. So I think I'm going to need to take a break here before going on to this next session. This, I think, will be a lot more, a lot better than the other one, because from what I understand, the Python API for Juniper networks, it's not as much of an advertisement as it is something that is available on no matter what kind of Juniper you buy. We can spin up Juniper Olive, we can spin up VMX, and we will be able to play around with these. It's not so much an advertisement for something, as the author mentioned, and I will be careful not to misquote him, but as he said specifically in his own words, given the uneven support of vendors and products, it is not yet mature enough to be used exclusively for the production network. So why we're learning about that and why we spend so much time learning about something like that, I don't know. But I don't think these features on Juniper fall into that same category. All right, so yep, I'll just verify my bookmark and now I'll stop the video. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.